Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have The Field Out Back. Or as the kids say, The Field Out Back.
The Fieldback.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Field Out Back is by Slimebeast. You can find it on slimebeast.com. And yeah, so we'll just kind of go right into this one. So the narrator is reminiscing on how kids can like cope with things, or like they like hide things, like hide memories, like traumatic events and stuff like that. And then and like one minute they've broken an arm, and then the next day they get a puppy, and then what broken arm? Kind of thing.
Arm's gone.
Yeah, what arm? No, but like how they can like easily forget like a trauma when something new or happy comes around.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just forget it. And then sometimes those bad traumatic memories come back when you're in adulthood, and they just hit you. And this is kind of the case with what's happening in this story, as the narrator is reminiscing of an event that happened regarding a place in their neighborhood when they were kids called the Field Out Back, or as the kids would say, they said it so many times that it basically almost became one word for them, the Field Out Back. So the story in particular, this event in particular, is about how narrator, or Nair, I guess, because we don't have a name for the narrator.
Of course.
Is playing / free babysitting for a younger kid named Frankie. Mm-hmm. And they're hanging out. So the Field Out Back is described as this giant, expansive, derelict property behind a bunch of the neighborhood. Developers haven't used it at all. It's overgrown with weeds. There's a small creek that goes through it, as well as a hill that's good for not snowmobiling,
sledding.
Good for sledding. On the far side of it. And so the kids, Nair and Frankie, are playing around the creek. They're trying to jump over it at its like narrowest point, with Nair playing Aquaman and Frankie playing I can do everything, man. Yeah, do everything, man.
He's the best superhero.
Yeah,
because he can do everything.
Mm-hmm. When Frankie jumps over, clears the gap. Mm-hmm. But Nair ends up like getting stuck in the mud. Like their shoe is completely trapped in mud. Mm-hmm. And Frankie kind of freaks out. And before Nair can really stop them, Frankie goes running off to go get help, because he's going to save the day. Do everything man's going to save the day. Mm-hmm. And this leaves Nair alone in the field. And that's when well, it could be. That's when they hear a whisper, like a whisper for help.
It would just be easier if you just pick a gender for Nair.
Yeah.
In general.
I mean, yeah, whatever. So they hear this voice, and it's like asking for help, that like they're caught somewhere. And so Nair just goes and investigates. They go off the path that the kids have made by just like being like running around so much, into this weeded area, and they find a busted up fence with some barbed wire. They stab their foot on the barbed wire on the way in, but continue going at the urging of the voice. And they find a clearing in the weeds and the bramble and whatever, where it's just like all dead grass. And in the center of this clearing is a sack that is writhing as if there's something inside, and it's tied up at the neck. And that's where the voice is coming from. So Nair gets a little bit closer, and the voice is like urging them on to like open up, because like they've been trapped by something mean, and they hesitate. Nair hesitates because why did they hesitate? Was it
because the thing in the sack offered him Transformers?
Right. Yeah. Okay. It started becoming more and more like incentivizing, like to an extreme. Like, oh yeah, I have all these Transformers. You can have them. My family's rich. We have all the toys. You can choose. No takes back or no off limitsies. And that throws all kinds of red signals to Nair.
Because his family has told him don't take free things from strangers.
Exactly, yeah. So they decide to just leave or like start turning away and like going home, and that's when the bag just kind of gets upright, like as if the person's like standing inside of it, and starts chasing them, like waddle chasing them. At least as far as the clearing, like they never see the sack after like it gets past that. After they clear that clearing, they get home. In a childlike fashion, they don't want to get in trouble for the muddy shoe, so they stop to go into safety and hose down and clean the shoe first and get rid of the socks, and then go inside to play video games and be safe. And then that's when Nair's mom shows up and asks if they were out back, out in the field out back, and they're like, yeah. It's like, oh, cool. Do you know when Frankie's going to be back home? Oh, shit. And that's the end of the story. So that was the rundown. I guess we'll go on to everyone expects the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. I miss the old days when kids could roam the world of their neighborhood without parents worrying about someone snapping them up. So this is really a nitpick to me, but perhaps snatching them up rather than snapping up? Yeah. I'm really stretching here. As far as I could tell, there really wasn't that much grammar issues in the story. At least I couldn't find many. So, yeah, that's the end of my grammar positions.
Yeah. So clearly, this was before its time, and they didn't know about Thanos.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're going for. Yeah,
clearly, this story that was probably written well before Endgame or even Infinity War or whatever Thanos was, or when Thanos was playing. Yeah.
Wasn't all that okay? This is a little bit of tangent. Wasn't all that in comics before the movie though?
I think actually, yeah, he does snap it in and that was from the '90s, like early '90s when the Infinity Crisis happens. So, yeah. But yeah, so Mikey, do you have any grammar questions?
Nope.
Cool. Gamer in Yellow.
Nope.
Cool. So, good job. I did actually, like, when I read through the story, I was like, I didn't see a single front butt or front end. I find all butts. No, check. No, check. All right, good job. And, yeah, the story was, like, grammar-wise, it was very competent. So, I guess we'll move on to actual thoughts. All right, starting with this one. Ow! As I passed the post, a spur of barbed wire caught between my saw-clad toes. Soon after, red began to commingle with the dirty brown staining. Okay, so going off of personal experience, as a wee cultist, I used to go into some not too safe locations, like places that were like run down or had like boards and stuff like that on the ground, so that things with rusty nails sticking up. And I had once or twice gotten a nail in through the foot, and I immediately ran home, screaming usually, because I didn't want to get tetanus. So like to me, this reaction was a little odd. That like they like screamed out or they shouted out. They see the blood on their socks, yet they continued on to follow.
Well, it said
the
like
voice.
I was essentially pulled by my own courageousness or willing to help or whatever. It said something like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, and I do get it. Like the character, where is it? Because I actually have it in my notes thinking about this. I do get that. Like this, like that was just my own personal like childhood like experiences. So every kid's kind of different, like with their reactions. And as the story talks about, kids can easily forget something bad when faced with something new to distract them, which this voice is clearly doing.
Yeah.
So, but it just like, it seemed like the reaction just kind of came off as odd to me a little bit. that like they wouldn't have reacted like a little bit more to like stabbing themselves with like barbed wire.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is if it doesn't hurt for
Yeah.
some reason,
Mhm.
but it's not explained why it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
My problem with it is it's unnecessary.
it's just kind of
I thought it was going to go somewhere.
yeah,
Like someone, like, what's the kid's name again? Sorry?
Frankie.
Frankie comes back and he can't find him, but he follows the blood trail.
Yeah,
And then, he's dead there. You know, something.
but no, it's
It's
just
unnecessary.
Yeah, it really didn't need to be there. Like, it was just kind of a like. It does kind of like show an example of like the kind of the theme of the story where like, like when a kid will like suffer something like painful or something like that, but then like be distracted easily by something different or by something like some exterior like or some other situation happening, and then they're like, oh, what's that? And completely forget about the pain. But it's
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but still. I just wish that it was there for a reason. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, yeah, and my other part of my note for that is just like I really hope that while he was cleaning his shoe with the hose, he at least hosed down his foot and then bandaged it before he went and played video games.
No.
Oh, yeah, he didn't tell.
He walked inside after he got rid of the socks and all that, and just walked inside and played video games. So like he's putting blood on the carpet or on the floor of the house.
It might have.
It might have healed, but it might have dried. He's
not Wolverine.
It might have scabbed up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's scabbed up, it would also be attached to the sock. So by removing the sock,
It would bleed again.
Yeah.
Yep.
He didn't tell his mom, so if it's infected,
He's losing that.
he's losing that.
He's losing that leg.
Or he's dead.
Yeah, that's
He was
the
a
other
ghost
option,
the whole time.
That's why it didn't matter.
And then on to my next one. After a few moments, I came to a small clearing. On the opposite side of this strange dead brown area, I could see more fence posts with rusted and haphazard wire. In the center of this spot was a small brown burlap sack. So this part is kind of another nitpick, but like more on just like a visual. Most of the story was well described for me to get a strong visual of like the field and like where they were and stuff like that. But here, I kept wanting to insert copse of trees in like this part, just due to the clearing
Copse
and such.
of trees?
Yeah, copse is actually like a grouping of small trees.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it meant like a bunch of ents show up and they're...
Yeah, no, they're
police
tree
force.
copse. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
copse is actually a term for like a small grouping of trees in a field.
Okay.
And just like a group of trees to like maybe like obscure the area a little bit more, because it just seemed weird. Like, yeah, I guess the weeds and the tall grass are like up to their like chest and stuff like that, and so it could obscure things. But it just seemed like it wasn't enough to like obscure this area or this clearing that the kid found himself in.
I assume the kid walked into the forest.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that.
No.
It says that he passed over some greenery, which I guess might be like smaller trees or some
He
brush.
climbed over a fence, though. And the
He
fence
found
would
the
have
fence
been...
in the field, like off the path that they usually use in the field. So this is the one instance where it's just like I could have used a little bit more description, just of like the environment, other than it was just in the field, because we get like the creek and we get the hill and we get like the overgrown like waist to chest high grass and weeds, but it just seemed like it was weird that this was the part that didn't like explain or that didn't give us like a strong enough visual of like this area being like even partially concealed, and like why hasn't this been seen before? Yeah, it was just this part gave me kind of a visual influx of like what was going on. Otherwise, again, like I feel the story provided enough details to build the setting and setting up appropriately. It's just this one part just kind of bugged me. Are you still looking, gamer?
Yeah, this is fine. Go ahead.
Cool. And then my next one. I approached, and as I did, the bag started to move. The lumpy form inside wiggled in anticipation and seemed to pitch and heave as if breathing faster and faster. Alright, so this is more in regards to like the monster. To me, I found it, like I like the monster because we get some description of the sack. We get the description of the sack, and we get the whispering of like what it can do, what it's like capable of like throwing its voice, or at least somehow like whispering that far away to attract kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we never see the monster, and I think that's a good thing. The ambiguity of what's in the sack allows for the reader to like let their imagination go on what horror awaited the or the narrator, or what took Frankie at the end. And that's not to say that the story doesn't give clues about the creature. Like, again, like it's able to like throw its whisper like halfway across the field or wherever like he was. Maybe he was closer, but like.
And it can see when he steps on barbed wire.
Exactly, yeah. It can sense him, so it's almost like maybe some kind of psychic abilities it has, or just another supernatural, like preternatural, a bit like sensory perception. And the fact that it waits for it's never been noticed by the kids when they're in groups. It's only when like somebody is like alone in the field. So it's almost like an ambush predator kind of creature. Like it waits for like one of them to straggle off or like to be alone in the field, and then it starts luring them to its trap. Yeah, so like we learn a little bit. We know enough in the story about like about the nature of like why it or how it's doing stuff and stuff, or what it's doing, but we don't know what it is precisely. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's good to like let that mystery stay, because then the reader can just visualize that by the end. Like, what the fuck is in that? It's like, what's in the box? What's in the box? And they never show it. So, yeah, personally, I enjoyed the fact that the monster was, wow, a Schrodinger's monster. Schrodinger's critter.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. Not unlike that entry from the Creepypasta Field Guide. Who wrote that, by the way? Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I liked the monster in the sack, or the that sounded really bad.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I entirely
We're not here to talk about your sexual preferences. Alright. Stay on topic here.
Sorry it's so hard.
I'm sure it was. We don't need to hear about it, though. Would you like to attempt
No,
that?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're
Like,
good?
I liked the monster's description that we got in its current state.
Okay.
There, my actual thoughts are done until final thoughts.
Alrighty.
Alright. So, my thought was that the monster was the sack itself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so
me
like
too.
a kind of like a
Sort of like
a mimic.
Yeah, mimic
Yeah.
sack.
Mimic, or even actually, I guess that's the same thing. I was going to say the chest from or the luggage from Discworld, but that's basically a mimic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Or the chest from Dark Souls.
Yeah, which is
keep naming off a whole bunch of things that are just exactly mimics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my thoughts were, it wasn't trying to eat him or anything. It just wanted to help because somebody had tied its mouth shut.
Aw. Yeah.
Or it's just wanting to eat him. Like the moment he opens
Somebody-
the sack, like a tongue comes out and just pulls him in.
Yeah, somebody actually either it's tricking him and like lying to him that like somebody had like closed that, and that's just how he gets people to like open up the sack and like, "Whoa!" Or somebody previous, maybe the kid whose footprints were there, because there were footprints that led up to the sack.
Oh yeah, there were.
Which I'm not entirely sure were they Frankie's? Like, did Frankie go missing first? Like,
Well, Frankie ran away to go save him as
but-
Do Everything Man.
But then, almost immediately after, Nair started hearing the whisper. So, like, Frankie couldn't have been, like, gone over to the sack at that point. Unless it was, like, again, like, divide and conquer. Like, as soon as, like, it started laying out it lured in Frankie as he was running home, and then,
Teleported back.
well, no, and then is also, like, projecting a voice to Nair to get it prepped to, like, come over after he eats Frankie.
So then, like,
it's really-
he's slowly kiting Nair over to the spot while there's just a sack around the corners, just wobbling around through the forest to get there.
Yeah, through the field. Yeah, like into the log grass. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Also, it's a creature of unknown power.
yeah,
to teleport.
exactly. Yeah,
It goes inside itself and then just comes out somewhere else.
Mhm.
Turns itself inside out.
yeah.
And then my other thought here is that Frankie just has a horrible sense of direction. So he gets lost whenever he's left alone, and he goes alone to go back home. So It's not that he was eaten or taken away.
He just took a
He's literally
detour.
just lost.
Yeah.
Just took a detour and
that's
got
what I
lost
was thinking,
on. Took a wrong turn at the Albuquerque section of the field behind back.
Which is why I need supervision.
It's actually just the field out back. Like this actually just takes place in Albuquerque.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. That's the other beauty about the story is that like there's enough details to give us the local setting, but it could be placed anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that's like
Well, it's the same reason that narrativens use.
exactly
Because you can insert yourself or anyone else into that.
yeah.
And that's my thoughts.
Okay. This is what happens when we have a competent creepypasta.
I mean, it could be the baseball field on back, but there's no baseball field.
No.
But if you build it, they will come.
Indeed.
So, my only real note is just about the ending.
Yeah.
Where, narrator mom says, Mrs. Aderman, sorry, says, you just came out from the field out back, didn't you? Uh-huh, why? Well, Frankie's mother and I were just wondering if you know when he's coming home. So it's kind of left to say that Frankie was in the sack or something like that, but the problem being is, like, Nair has known Frankie for his entire life.
Yes.
So he would know if it was Frankie's voice,
Yeah. So
and Frankie would know if it was his voice because Nair was talking to him. So they'd be calling each other by name.
yes.
So it can't be him.
My theory is that so Nair escaped the sack and somehow missed Frankie on his way back, and then so like Nair ran home, missed Frankie, didn't see Frankie like running back like to go see him because his mom was like, oh, don't worry about it, like I'm sure he's fine. And then on the way back, Frankie got lured in, and then Frankie did fall for the sack.
It's entirely possible that Frankie got killed after the fact, but at the moment when Narrativman was being confronted by the sack creature, that couldn't have been Frankie.
No.
Or even if Frankie was killed by it, it's not using Frankie's voice because he would have called it out.
Yeah, no, it was Frankie. If Frankie has been eaten or devoured or has been taken, it was after Nair talked to the sack.
Yeah.
The sack is actually like it's just a creature in itself. Although it does again beg kind of like the question is like why are there a set of like childlike footsteps that go over to the sack?
Because it's killed before.
I get. Oh, you know what? That would have been really a good like thing to add a little bit additionally. There's a multiple, like there's not just one set of like kids tracks. There's like a couple of kids tracks here. Like it's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Like that would be a good like red flag for the character. And then as like he was talking to the sack and like getting ready to like open it and then realizing that like there were some red flags from this conversation, things all started connecting the dots stuff.
Yeah. But also, even if it has been doing it for a while, it's out in the open, so the tracks would get covered up unless him being lured takes him to a magical pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Where nothing gets disturbed. But if it's all in the open, then it would only be recent tracks.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's clearly supposed to be from the field somewhere. Like it's somewhere in like an obscure part of the field out back. That
I don't know. The way I imagine it, it's like because he had to climb over a fence. It's essentially the field's here, but there's like a fence near the back or whatever, and he climbed into the forest.
The fence, though, the fence wasn't like erect; it was on the ground. Like he pulled some greenery over, and the fence was on the ground, and like the barbed wire was sitting like basically partially in and out of the dirt.
Yes, but when he actually gets to the place where the sack creature is,
he does
it's surrounded by fence.
Yeah, he does see a fence. So maybe the fence was built. Maybe somebody else knew about the sack and placed a fence around it, and then the part of the fence that's facing the field is has just fallen over with time because it was rotten. Like the posts were rotten and stuff. So I'm wondering.
So it's a huge fence area.
Yeah, or maybe just like a circled off area that like somebody put up.
Well, that's the thing. It says like there's a circled area like that, but it doesn't say like how he gets into it.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't do any climbing. He just walks over it because that part of the fence is on the ground.
There's two mentions of the fence, as far as I recall.
Yeah, on the far side of the fence, like when he first gets into the fence, gets into the area, and then on the far side of the clearing that he's at, he can see fencing going along it, like going along the opposite side. So part of the fence is erect, is up on the is standing up, but the part that he was able to get into had fallen down.
Okay, I could have swore it said like it was surrounded in barbed wire, like a barbed wire fence all the way around this clearing. But I guess not. Never mind.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all I got for actual thoughts, really.
Okay.
Yeah, because you'd think if there's one piece of barbed wire, it would be along the entire fence.
Yeah.
Unless there used to be a barbed wire fence and they took it down, but they missed this one piece. It's a possibility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So on to final thoughts then. Mm-hmm. You just came from the field out back, didn't you? Uh-huh. Why? Well, Frankie's mother and I were just wondering if you know when he was coming home. And then basically, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh no, Frankie's went back and checked on his friend and now he's been encountered in the sack. He's dead.
We just talked about
I know. We did.
Literally just talked about that.
That's fair. Honestly, I really liked the story. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Very kind of Stephen King's It in tone and situation, just like kind of like the childhood encounter with something creepy and wrong, and like trying to like grab you. Like as soon as the thing started talking to him and like he was going for the sack, I kind of almost wanted to keep saying, like, "Come on, Georgie, we all float down here," because it was kind of that kind of situation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Where the kid meets monster and monster tries to eat a kid.
Or monster just wants to be untied so it can
be free.
Be free.
Yeah, but that's never the case in horror.
You never know.
It's a horror story. It's not a monster kid story. Well, it is a monster kid story, but it's also a horror story.
For all we know, this could be an unintentional setup for a buddy horror.
That would be really cool.
If you untied him and he had this magical bag as a friend.
Yeah. But it needs the flesh of other people, or the flesh of humans. So it has So that's the buddy horror. The horror aspect of it is that he has to feed it, Frankie. That's why Frankie's gone.
Yeah. He doesn't say that because...
Yeah, he doesn't say that because that would, incriminate him.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Weird thing is, a lot of kids started going missing after I encountered that sack. Yeah, that would actually be a really cool, deviation from the story. It's just he opens it up and it's actually... It wants to eat him, but he tricks it into being his friend or something like that. Or it's just his friend, but he needs food.
Or it's like whenever the sack is hungry, it's like, I'm hungry, and then it just takes control of Nerdaman. So he doesn't know that the sack is eating people. Yeah. He just keeps blacking out randomly.
And just keeps luring kids. It doesn't even whisper to kids. He just it takes over narrator, lures him out to the field out back, or with other kids, and then he just feeds the kids to the sack.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I guess to completely negate my one grammar position that was super nitpicky, I will completely admit that. Mm-hmm. The whole worry about someone snapping them up. I guess snapping does make sense in regards to the sack, because it's basically going to eat the kids. Am I stretching? Am I just still reaching there?
Maybe if it was a Venus flytrap.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that kind of organism, that kind of monster, where the sack is just the camouflage of the Venus flytrap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm really stretching. I was really stretching earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ending to me had a good zinger. Okay, well, maybe a bad end for Frankie, I suppose, but
doesn't matter. You're not Frankie.
Yeah, and the narrative style of the story itself, I found really fun, very campfire story-esque. It read kind of like somebody was telling this all around a campfire, or
not to me personally.
That's fair. I don't know, just had that kind of that storytelling style, personally. So I guess all in all, yeah, I recommend this one. It's simple, straightforward. Boy meets monster. Boy almost gets eaten by monster. Bad. So, Mikey, these stands for you.
Alright, I'm gonna only half recommend it.
Okay.
Mainly because I feel there needs to be more character development of Frankie in order to really care for him that he's missing.
Why?
Because when it comes to the end, it's oh, he went missing. He didn't come home. But for me, I wasn't really attached to the character.
You heartless demon. Wait, you are a demon. Never mind.
Yeah, actually, so that's understandable.
Okay.
Yeah. And for me, it was interesting, but not really scary. The monster and everything.
Okay.
It's like how it's waddling after him and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is more
That would
comical.
be creepy. That would be creepy, though. Okay, we say comical now, like as readers of the story that have no like thing. But if you put yourself in that situation, I'd be terrified.
Yeah, but if you explained that if you put yourself in that situation, you wouldn't reach the sack because you would have stabbed yourself on the barbed wire. No.
That's true. That is true. You know what? You know what?
Yeah.
Touche, motherfucker. Touche.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, I would be like, I need to find an adult for more than one reason. I am bleeding.
Yo.
So,
Yep.
yeah. That's my recommendation.
For me, it's relatively short. It's not super long. There's not a whole lot of character development. We have a narrative. We have a Mrs. Aderman.
Frankie.
And Frankie,
And
yeah.
Frankie's mom.
Yeah.
And the sack.
And I assume Frankie's mom has it going in some sort of situation, probably has it going on, I would say. Yeah.
Now who's falling into the gutter?
What? You guys can make random references. I make one random reference.
What are you referencing?
Movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the movie, but I know that's a song in the movie.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. I've never seen.
Stacy's mom.
Am I?
Yeah.
I think I am.
Way to go!
Hey man, let's tried.
That's
It's kind of
That's it. We're really reaching on this episode.
yeah, kind of. Yeah. Either way, I didn't hate it. I just there were some things off about it, like the blood was unnecessary.
Yeah.
It could have been set up for someone to come back and find what happened to Narrative. So that didn't really need to be there. I'm kind of with you, Cultist. Like, I didn't have a clear view of the clearing.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Like you saw, like you thought he climbed over it and like over a fence, and then like I thought it was like I knew it wasn't, but I kept wanting to add trees.
Well,
like
yeah,
cover,
exactly.
tree cover.
Like I knew that the first fence post was by itself, and it said that.
Yeah.
But when it got to the clearing, for some reason, like it was talking about the fence behind it. I kind of imagined it went all the way around it, like
Gotcha.
it was a sealed thing.
Well, and like you're not wrong. It's just you weren't looking at it the right way. Like the fence, like the other side of the fence that he was seeing was basically the other side of the old fence, like that he walked over initially. But yeah, there was no fence like around the entire clearing. It's just there was a perimeter.
After rereading it,
Yeah.
there's just like a fence behind it.
Yeah, because that.
But it doesn't go on the sides or nothing.
Well, no, it does. It's just you don't see that
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
far
far
off, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly, or it's fallen over and it's like the rest of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like at this point, I don't even know if we're on the same property.
Yeah, I don't like. I feel like it should be because it says like that's where everything happens is in this field, which is expansive and has a creek and a hill. So maybe it's like around the. That's why I almost was thinking that like it was taking them around the hill to get some cover. Because again, like I know like we're going back on this again, but like
It's weird that it's in the open.
yeah,
Else would have noticed it.
I get like they're kids, so like they're not that big, but like chest high grass would not. I feel like you'd be able to find that dead brown. They'd know about that dead brown clearing if it was in the middle of if it was in the field and some part of it by now. Like they play in this field all the time, right?
Yeah,
So
especially with the hill.
Yeah.
that they toboggan down.
exactly, they'd be able to see the whole.
Well, actually, when they toboggan down, it's covered in snow.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless but if they ever climb up there during the spring,
That's
summer,
that's
fall,
just why I feel like there should have been like some kind of like he went through some trees or some bushes
Yeah,
and found
or-
this area part of it that
Or
was
the whispers led me around the back of the hill, which we never go to. Back here, it's a forest.
exactly, and
You
there's
know?
a fenced off area.
Yeah.
and that's where that would have been a nice descriptor. But otherwise, like the story does present a decent description. It's just that one part, like, and unfortunately, it's the part that's kind of crucial to the plot.
Well, I don't know if it's. I mean, the location
I
doesn't
mean-
really change it too much. It just kind of makes us. It makes us need to think more because it's not clearly hidden.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and I don't mean like it ruins like that part. I just mean like it's most noticeable to us because it's right at the part where like
Everything happens.
Yeah, where everything's starting to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the ending, it's kind of assuming to the reader. It's making the reader assume rather that Frankie was in the bag all along. But when you think about it, he couldn't have been.
No,
even though it's kind of set up like that though.
That's
Because the last line is like, "Have you seen Freddy? He hasn't come back."
Frankie.
I don't care.
See, it's interesting that you assumed that, because I did not assume that. I assumed that Frankie had gone back and gotten eaten by the monster. Like, I didn't assume that it was Frankie the whole time in the sack.
The last line is like, "Have you seen Freddy? Frankie. Friginal."
Furrock.
Yeah, Furrock. Yeah. He's a hunter of dinosaurs.
Yes. Very drunk hunter of dinosaurs.
My name is Furrock.
Anyway,
And like when I was reading down, because I was scrolling up, I saw the first comment, and the first comment was exactly what I just thought was, so the sack ate Frankie.
Yeah, but see, so you think that the sack ate Frankie before narrator showed up to the sack?
I don't actually think that. Okay. I think the story is trying to make the reader think that.
I don't think so, because like my first go-to was that like the sack ate Frankie.
Okay, listen.
Yeah, okay, I know, I get you.
When I read it, I didn't assume it.
That's fair. Right.
When you read it, you didn't assume it. I'm saying the story is kind of set up with that punchline being, "Oh, Freddy was in the sack all along, and you left him to die."
I don't think that. But
the last line is literally like, "Frankie never came home."
Yeah, because
after he just got back from a monstrous event, which
I don't know,
which had a kid in a sack, and he's missing.
All right, whatever.
I'm just saying that to me, it seemed like the story is set up for that to happen. None of us read it like that, but it's kind of set up like that, which is weird.
I don't feel that the story did that, but okay.
It just because of the way the last line is, but
all right.
Either way, it was a competent story. Like we said, I didn't have to stumble over everything. It read pretty clean all the way through, so I didn't really have a problem with it. Monster, a little not scary, as we've talked about, but I'll still at least give it a half recommendation. I still enjoyed it. It's just, it's not the best.
All right, fair enough.
But wait! So, reading the end over again, it says, like, Frankie's mother and I were just wondering if you know when he's coming home, as if he never went home in the first place.
Yeah, and then there's the footsteps that we see, that Nair finds, like, going up to the sack. So, did Frankie actually go to the sack first and get eaten, and then the monster is just trying to lure, like, is he, like, double downing on meals today?
There has to be some sort of, like, time stream fuckery.
It's another, oh god, it's another time loop.
Yeah.
Frankie is, in fact, there.
Yeah.
To be fair, it does take a really long time to fish a shoe out of
mud. You know what, that is true. So maybe there's not, we don't really get, I guess it's a point against the story, I guess, where it didn't give us a clear time frame as to, like, how long Frankie was gone.
Yeah, and it didn't say, like, the voice was coming from the direction that Frankie ran in.
Yeah. Or immediate, and it did, like, I kind of got the impression that, like, as soon as Frankie was gone, the guy heard the narrator.
No, he had to fish his shoe first.
That's true. Yeah, right. And he's walking back home. Yeah, so yeah, there was some time frame. There was actually some ample time for Frankie to get lured in and eaten. And
considering he's walking home, I'm assuming their home is near each other.
Yeah, clearly.
So they would probably be walking the same direction, which is the direction that Frankie ran to. So it's entirely possible that Frankie ran and got eaten.
Okay, so that actually explains a little bit more about, like, why there's the footsteps there, or the little footprints.
Why they're fresh.
Yeah, why they're fresh. And, like, the voice is, like, I don't think that the voice is Frankie's. I think it ate Frankie. And now is luring another kid in, because it's like divide and conquer, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's
actually, entirely possible.
Yeah, I think actually, so there are actually some clues in the story.
You just have to read it 5 times.
That's fine. That's the joy of reading. And that's why, like, it's almost like we dissect stories in this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, I like the story even more, because it actually, like, added in those little hints that, like, Frankie.
Do you want a re-recommendation?
No, I already gave it a full recommendation. So does that change your opinion of the story, or
if that's what it's actually trying to say, instead of him being home and be like, but wait, how could it have gotten him? If it was more clearly said that. I followed. I got up and went to walk home in the same direction Frankie ran, and I heard the whisper. Then the gears would be turning a lot earlier to make that assumption. I guess, which would make the zinger at the end better.
Yeah,
because it would hammer home the fact that that was he did get eaten by that. Whether or not the voice was Frankie's, it can't be because he would know it. But
exactly. Well, that yeah. So get rid of that idea. Then it's just the monsters luring kids in by separating them.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's actually I really like that part of the story now.
I do like it a little bit better.
And it adds it clarifies when Frankie got eaten.
Yeah.
When Frankie got fingered. No, that's Freddy. Damn it.
See, it's easy to fuck up with that name.
I know.
When Freginald. We need other weird names.
When Fargo.
Fargo, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. All right. So this has been this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this is posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without the W because they took his one character they needed.
Yep.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. You can also leave us a rating and review on iTunes or any other streaming site that we're found on. Help us spread like a virus. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigamortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, extra content, and early access. And for patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that, as always. And to the listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because seriously, without you guys, we really wouldn't have much of a show. So, thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.